All right, guys, we are going straight on into another action-packed series between a couple of tippity-top pro gamers here. In the top left, representing Sandstorm Gaming, this is the Gummy Bro. Going there for a Barracks gas opening. His opponent in the bottom right, the favorite in this head-to-head, a player who's been exceptional in recent history in StarCraft 2. Quite a few top 8s to his name in the GSL, which is nothing to be scoffed at. Team Envy's Dongregu. Shout out to KJ in the chat. Big thanks for the 59-month resub, my friend. Really appreciate the love, mate. Thank you. Good night, salad fingers. Good night, guys. All right, guys, we could have a really good series in for us. Size Dome Gummies in the top left. Dongregu from Team Envy in the bottom right. It's romanticized to start off this best of 3. And this is, of course, the EPT Korean Weekly Cup. This is only the second round of the tournament. But Gumiho is coming in with a very low seeding, and he already defeated Hero, as him and Hero have both just recently returned from the military. So they've got very low seeding until they stack up a few more wins under their names. So it kind of sucks for Dongregu to be running into Gumiho this early, since he is quite a highly seeded player. But Gumi already getting on in there. Now there's a quick third base down over there. But oh, nice micro. He actually gets the drone there. You could see the way Gumi not only bounced and focus fired the drone, but he then moved right up next to the drone. So even if Dongregu tried to build a spore crawler, he wouldn't have had space to build it right where he was standing. He would have had to try and get distance between himself and the Reaper. So that's a cute little micro trick that you can do to try and do that. Now, interestingly, proxy starport? No way. Oh, wow. Okay. So Gumi is going to open up with a quick medevac out of this. He's going to get 4 Hellions, pressure over here, pull back, pick up into a medevac, and try to boost into the main base. And he's hoping that there won't be any vision there yet. And he'll follow that up with a Viking. Almost certainly, which he'll use to clear up other overlords, and he'll probably fly it home. So 1 medevac, 1 Viking is what I would expect. He could add a Liberator in there as well, of course, or even a couple Liberators, but I imagine probably be Hellion Viking. We'll keep our eyes on it and see. This is going to really escalate the early pressure a bit earlier than normal, and despite that, it's still a normal economic build. It's just, hey, your starport's not going to be able to build add-ons after that, and it's actually straight Liberators. Oh, wow. Okay, so he's just going to look to kind of like dive in the natural while the Liberators siege up the main very early on. Now, what's cool about that is normally if you want to do a 4 or a 6 Hellion dive, it simply hits way earlier than a Liberator can get across the map. But in this case, the Liberator is going to get there so much faster. There'll be another Liberator behind it, and this could do a lot of damage. Now, there is an Overlord that will see this starport, though. That's very important for DRG to get that information, and this is why such a close proxy starport is a little dangerous. 1 drone goes down. DRG has now spotted the starport. He also has another Overlord down there that should see these units as they rotate down. Now, DRG only has 5 queens, one of which has already almost died here. The Lings go for a bit of a surround, but they are outnumbered, or at least outgunned by those Hellions. And that first Liberator going into the main. Ah, Gumi, it's been spotted, mate. It's been spotted. You saw the Overlord. You should know that it saw you and that he was going to be prepared. Just sieging the lava is a good middle ground here. Yeah. Maybe deny some of these Overlords that are building. Just getting rid of a little bit of the production. You'll notice there it's just 4 shots to kill an egg, so those Overlords will not be popping, and that might supply block DRG if he doesn't realize that his Overlord got stopped in production. He might not realize and actually end up hitting an 82 supply block. Now DRG is making 7 roaches and a lot of zerglings, so it looks like he's going for a big all-in attack. Gumiho hasn't realized this yet, and this is kind of the downfall of a player who focuses so much on being aggressive. And look, he's going for a Hellbat attack. Dude, he saw no drones on the 3rd. He should realize that there is actually a lot of defense right now, but he hasn't. Gumiho getting a bit too stubborn and stiff in his play, and he's losing 1 Hellbat, 2 Hellbat, 3 Hellbats have gone down, and he's going to try and save some of these units. The Liberator comes in on the natural. The Queens are there, though. He's just going to pull that back. Oh, he ambushes the roaches in the hedge. That was very cute. Now, those Hellbats, oh, he actually kills quite a lot of these roaches. Oh, man. Gumiho realized that he was gonna have to try and defend this attack, but if he let them kind of get across the map, morph Ravages and siege him down, Hellions couldn't really stand their own. But ambushing them in the middle of the map, and then even adding the Liberator to that, that's a really good way of taking the oomph out of DRG's Roachling attack. Now, DRG still continues with these just to try and threaten Gumiho. He wants to kind of force an overreaction and just see if he can be annoying. This is not about finding big damage. It's about keeping Gumiho busy, and it's absolutely doing that. It's kind of scaring him. A lot of Zerglings coming in behind this. But there's a tank up. Hellbats as well. DRG not going to find anything here. 4th and 5th factory are already on the way. Only a single armory here. So he's really getting up to lots of tanks, Hellions, very early. Behind this, though, DRG's gone back to building workers. He's got a 3rd base fully saturated. The gas is going up there as well. Double upgrades on the way, as well as roach speed. And I wonder for DRG, are we going to see Spire come in? Or is this going to be like, just go like Infestation Pit, you know, add Swarm Hosts, maybe Banelings to the Roach Ravager? Because Mass Roach Ravager alone doesn't really cut it. Siege tanks just kick the shit out of it. They're really good versus everything that's not siege tanks from Mech. That's kind of why roaches are the core of your anti-Mech style. Because you're like, okay, so I could beat Hellions. I could do okay against Cyclones. Not amazing, but okay. I could beat Thors with roaches. The roaches are just a good generic unit that basically doesn't have the massive weakness to the Hellion, the Hellbat, or the Widowmine like Zergling, Baneling, Mutalisk does. The question is, where do you go from that? And for now, it seems like DRG's answer is nowhere. He's just going to mass roaches and see what he can do with it. And this map is a map where that's incredibly hard to do anything. And the Zergling is going to take one for the team. Other Zerglings will try to come in. He's morphing an Overseer to clear that up as well. Oh shit, Hellbat. Hellbat drop came in. Sorry guys. Missed the drop. The medevac does get out of there. I like that. Little bits of cute pressure. A couple Widow Mines zoning out on the map as well. Oh, Ling's actually come in here and get a cute little surround. Was not expecting that, was he? Does get, oh, good spready from DRG as well. And I think Gumi's just moving out to secure his fort. This is not really an attack. He's got such a weird set of units. He's building Cyclones, Banshees, and Hellions right now. Now, Banshees is going to be great versus Roaches, but tank count has me a little worried, right? It's only 3 siege tanks, and there is just nothing but Roaches for DRG. DRG is essentially doing a Roach all-in right now, and Gumiho doesn't know that. He doesn't realize there's no droning happening on that 4th base. The tanks weren't siege. DRG is just going to try and shove on in here. Gets 2 Hellbats, does take a tank volley, and that 4th wisely lifting there. Some Biles hitting the command center. That needs to fall back to the high ground. He can use Banshees to clear this out. Behind this, 7 more drones on the way for that 4th base and an infestation pit. So DRG, I think his mindset here was, let's mass the basic unit. I know it's not great, but this way I can make sure he doesn't get a 4th base. And as long as I can make sure he doesn't get a 4th, I can slowly drone and go to the next step, and that's okay. But the problem is, Gumiho now is like, well, I got these Cyclones. I'm just going to pick off a bunch of Roaches. He does lose a Cyclone, but still very efficient play. Banshee's starting to grow. He's thinking about going to the north side. Oh, I think it's just because he saw Zerglings run past. Now, if he can creep siege tanks down and get that 4th up, that'd be great. He's on pure Cyclone production right now. I think that's a mistake from Gumiho. In my opinion, he needs to be focusing on tank production because you've got to respect the Roach army. But you know what's cute? Actually, maybe he saw he didn't see the infestation. Cyclone Hellion is great versus this massive Swarm Host swap that's coming in. Because the trick to Swarm Hosts is you've got to get map control and just fight them out in the middle of the map. If you can push their map control back, Swarm Hosts won't be effective. So siege tanks are really weak to Swarm Host, right? So DRG is saying, I'm going to get map control with Roach Ravagerling. And then when you turtle up and build lots of tanks to beat that, well, I'll just go Swarm Host. But Gumiho seems to be one step ahead. Here I am saying, you're making a mistake. No. He knows that's the swap. And he's probably played this against DRG a few times where he knows DRG likes to do this. The Hellbat's come forward. Oh, Cyclones not really getting the best lock-ons. There are Banshees here as well. The Roaches take a lot of Hellbat damage. And a lot of Hellions are going down, but as are a lot of Roaches. But this has allowed the Swarmers to get forward. Oh my god. Okay. Locusts are going to push him back. The Banshee is a very important unit to help stabilize here. He's going to lose the tank. And those Banshees will clean up a lot of those Ravages. Nice micro there. He says, if you come this deep on my territory, I will kill your Ravages for it. This is not free, mate. Gumiho just macroing mass Hellion Cyclone. Lots of command centers. So the trick here for Gumiho is if he can take this base and this base at the same time, even if he loses one, he can just keep growing bigger than the Swarm Host can attack. Swarm Hosts are very efficient cost for cost, but they're very slow. They're a slow burning unit that needs a lot of time to work. if you simply grow at a quick enough rate, and especially if you intercept them, you push forward like this to clear the creep, you keep them back on their side of the map. Right now, DRG's got fully loaded swarmers that should be firing on their opponent, and they're not. And look at this, Gumiho's going to try and go for a snipe on a few of these swarmers. Transfusers do come in, and the Overseer will chase back those Banshees, but once again, this is delaying DRG from doing what he wants to do with these units. And the Banshees are a very effective unit. Look at this, the Cyclone Hellion doing really well at controlling this space. I'm telling you, if he can expand to another base or two, especially if he can get a second armory just to add a few more upgrades for his late game, he's going to be in a good spot. And DRG is going a Hydra Lurker Viper behind this, which can absolutely work. I mean, Lurkers are great against Cyclones and Hellions. Viper's good for abducting any mech units that aren't Hellions, like Cyclones are still pretty valuable. Swarmers being used mostly defensively. Hellions don't really care too much about those Locusts. Banshees on the north take on the Queens. Good transfusers though. Oh, well played by DRG. Even gets some damage done over here. He's going to get that command center. Wow, that's an important strike there from DRG. He loses a base on the bottom, but he does some counter damage. Hellions are going to go for a dive. These units are pretty much free for Gumiho right now. He's got so many minerals. He doesn't care about that. And he's going to take out some of DRG's economy. Remember that DRG has got a lot of economy tied up in those swarm hosts. And as a result, he can't afford to have as much of a giant resting drone count as a Baneling player could. If you don't have Banelings with their supply efficiency to hold back this sort of army, you end up in a lot of trouble. And to have swarm hosts and lurkers out, it's a very weird combination of units that can get a bit messy. There's not many tanks right now though, and Gumiho, uh-oh, he's in big trouble. There's not much anti-air to snipe the floating command centers, but you know what? Those lurkers, there's no answer to them. The Cyclones come in, that hatchery disappears almost instantly. There's no answer to the Cyclones at home either. So both players going ham on each other. I do think with the lurkers though, Gumiho, oh, he could even send his Banshees and clear up all of those units, but he doesn't realize finally the Banshees are going forward, but he could have done that earlier. Finally, he does push that back. The Cyclones are getting jumped on by the Roach Ravager, but there's more Cyclones than there is Roach Ravager, and the Cyclones are letting their power be known. Gumiho's rally gets slaughtered by the Swarm Hosts. Only a few units survive there, but I think that's okay. And look at that, he's locking onto Lurkers, Swarm Hosts. DRG is in disarray, and Gumiho bringing out the Mass Cyclone Battle Mech, and with no Banelings to push this back, no Infestors to catch these units. I mean, this was something where I think DRG needed to be fighting this front on. To go for that attack seemed like a cool opportunistic dive, but Gumiho said, well, no worries, I'll just go around and counterattack you. There's no reason for me to fight that. There is no reason. Now, chat was pointing out it's really interesting how Gumiho often morphs Hellbats with his Cyclones rather than just having cars driving around and kiting the units. Well, it allows him to stand his ground. Unless the opponent has Mass Roach Ravager, it actually allows him to just roast those roaches, because when the roaches try to run up on top of Cyclones, they clump up a lot, and Hellbats actually become a counter to roaches. The reason Hellbats normally suck against roaches is the roaches can kite backwards. But if the roaches are trying to close the distance with the Cyclones, they clump up, they run into the Hellbats, and Hellbats suddenly become a very good unit. Oh, this is bad for DRG. I think he thinks he's ambushing Gumiho, but oh man, this is so bad for DRG. That's going to be game. He loses the last chunk of army. He's got to tap out Gumiho. A beautiful game 1 mech victory. All right, guys, straight into game number 2 on Lightshade. I think we're going to see Mech come back in a big way on the ladder just because he's returned from the military. If there is one of the biggest meta influences, one of the players that people love to copy, especially Terrans who feel, oh, I don't have pro mechanics, I can't play like Clem. Well, you guys are going to have somebody to copy. I'm going to have somebody to copy because he's so creative and interesting in how he plays. This is Gumiho. His opponent, a player who definitely excels a little bit more with Mutaling Bane style. I don't mind Swarm Hosts, but Roach Swarm Host is a little dicey. I think he really thought he was going to force a lot more tanks out of his opponent in that last game, and his opponent just went Mass Cyclone to counter the Roach. It was like, yeah, no worries. I just go Mass Cyclone and deal with it. Maybe Banelings being added in was what was needed. I think that's probably the most supply efficient way and cost efficient way to just push back Hellion Cyclone. 20 speed banes like literally stops that giant Cyclone push that got him in the last game. So let's see if he returns to Banelings. It's DRG. DRG. it's interesting because when you get these sort of unit comps, like, you know, you get like, it's like, well, I don't want to go Banelings because he adds Widow Mines in and they do really well against them, or he has lots of tanks and they do well. It's kind of fitting in different pieces, but to go Hydra Lurker Viper, and the Viper's so late off the back of Swarm Host Roach, like to me that just feels like an awkward transition. For me, it's Hydra Bane Swarm Host is really good style that can go basically to the end game, add Vipers if you really need. You can just play Hydra Bane Swarm Host all day because Hydras are so versatile, Banes are so versatile, and Swarm Hosts are so efficient. But yeah, or Roach Ravager Bane Swarm Host. So basically just add Banelings to that style, but it's the supply efficiency of the Baneling offsets the supply inefficiency of the Swarm Host, and it allows you to get through those times in between throwing Locust Waves. It allows you to bully the Terran off the map a bit, and also to kind of sandwich and punish those Cyclone Hellion dives that Gumiho was doing a little bit. So I think definitely a missing piece of the puzzle for DRG, and one which normally he's a Baneling king. He's very good with Ling Muta into Banes. Now that's a quick third CC. Gumiho is going to play Bio possibly. He doesn't have to though. You know what? I've actually seen some people go this third CC build and they just skip Starport entirely and they're just like, no, just go straight second factory, straight for Battle Mech. And you're just looking for a swamping style. It's like dive Hellions to kill drones and then just like basically picket them with Hellion Cyclone from the very get-go. Now we'll see what Gumiho has in store. He's absolutely capable of playing Bio as well as Mech, which makes him super dangerous. Looks like just Hellion Banshee to start. Very standard build. Something DRG is going to, I think, be pretty well used to dealing with this. Oh, Viking first, though. Interesting. Does start Cloak and then cancels it. Orbital Command Center on the way, building lots of SCVs. Cool thing about that quick third Command Center, you ain't going to get supply blocked for a long time. Get to delay those depots for quite a while. DRG does hit a very slight supply block here, but only for a moment. Calculated. 2 Tumors on the left and bottom one there, which makes me think he might be taking this as a fourth base rather than committing everything to the top side of the map up here. Because if he takes that top side, he really should be focusing his creep in that direction. Whereas this feels like DRG's focusing his creep towards the center of the map, which is better for controlling this one. Now there's a Roach Horn on the way very early in an Evo chamber. Oh, it's a spawn.
I want you to fall in my bed like rain.
Like when it's
the wet season at my farm.
Thank you very much, Loki, for the 913 sub. So the Overlord goes down, doesn't really get to see too much. Did see Cloak, actually, for Banshees. So knows Banshees are coming in next. Second Factory as well. I think got spotted by that, right? That's such an early Roach Horn there. A nice quick Lair is going to be added in. Spine is obviously just there to help against Hellbats. Viking has to pull back whenever these queens come forward. It's there to pick off a few Overlords, but mostly it's to push the Zerg's vision back into a corner. So you want to get that Overlord, and if there was an Overlord down here, you'd want to get it as well. So you can see the way Gumiho is kind of queued it up to just find any of these, and he'll keep hunting with that Viking while Banshees try to snake their way into the main. Double Spore in the main. I think DRG might be actually expecting battle cruisers. Either way, if your queens are focused down here, not a bad idea to get an extra Spore covering that main base. So the double armory this time around, which definitely points towards traditional mech. Makes us think Gumiho is going to be a bit more tank focused potentially in this game. I mean, he's always flexible, right? But in that last game, it felt like from the get-go he wanted to play battle mech. But this time around, I think he's more wary. Romanticide's easier to defend. This map, wide open areas, his bases are exposed. So I think he realizes that he could just get jumped on by a big army. And, oh, he's already got a tank. Goodbye, Roachies. The Hellions could easy chase down the Reddit Point Roach, but they want to chill for it now. Spire's on the way, so DRG is going to go to Spire. A good choice. He's got a quicker fourth base by a little bit. One thing we've noticed with DRG is one of the reasons he never gets way ahead versus Mech is that fourth base doesn't go down super fast. If you kind of know you're up against Mech, if you can just delay your upgrades and get, I think, a faster fourth and faster tech, Roach speed, Spire, I think this is like a good reordering of DRG's priorities, because attacking upgrades, they're pretty good versus Mech, they help, but not that much. Carapace is really worthless versus tanks and cyclones. And a good Hellion run by comes in. Doesn't find too much, but keeps him alive. So this to me looks like DRG has really got his priorities in the right order. He's immediately taking gas on the fourth base. He's going up to 85 workers. And this kind of says, hey, in that last game, he was like, you can't take a 4th base, yeah! And it was like, well, it doesn't matter because Gumiho had a bigger economy on 3 base than DRG did. He was like sitting on 68 workers, right? It was such a small economy. This time, DRG's actually looking like he might just want to mass mutas versus this style. I'm very curious to see how that works. Oh, good surround. Leaving those Hellions just AFK in vision. Bit of a mistake. 13 mutas on the way. I mean, there's Cyclones building. He's building a couple turrets at the front, but none on the production just yet. And he hasn't seen the mutas popping out. Those mutas are starting to pop and they're banking. He's hiding those mutas. Oh, Gumiho doesn't realize what he's up against. He knows that there's a lot of drones on the 4th, so he knows it's a bigger economy, but he really needs to be building a Thor or 2 right now. Lings are going to come through that north of the map, trying to deny that 4th that's going to float over there. Hellion Cyclone going to do what it can. Guys, there's 13 mutas on the map, 6 more building, and he's just going to keep hiding it. But look at how small this army is and how many Lings it is. Gumiho should be cluing on to the fact that this is not exactly what he thought it was. The mutas are going to ambush the Cyclones. Uh-oh. 2 Cyclones go down. There's no Overseers coming over just yet for DRG, and that is a mistake for sure. Now, this base is in trouble. That tank's going to go down. Oh my god. Turret is not even finished in the natural. This is just a big surprise meter wave, and I think DRG just wins the game with this. He gets a Cyclone, another Cyclone. The turret's going to get up. Mass repair on the turret, and the other turret killing the rallying mutas. That Cyclone's going to kite a little bit. Dude, the mutas are starting to fall. He hasn't killed that many SCVs yet. He's already lost 10 mutas. Make it 11, make it 12. I mean, there's not much else on the ground, though, so the Ling Roach might be now where the damage comes from. That turret in the 3rd goes down. A little slow to repair. Oh, the Widow Mines aren't burrowed yet. He's still got that one turret to kind of anchor this position. Dude, if Gumiho could weather this without taking too much damage, he absolutely could get back in because mutas are not a long-term solution to Mech, but it's only Cyclones building and Hellions right now, and those just aren't the best units up against this sort of army. Now, a couple of Overlords go down. Bit of a mistake there, but doesn't even supply dropping below till 100 until that last one. And the mutas are coming forward, but dude, he's just got so little anti-air, and the Cyclones are just caught way out in the open. Ah, that was a big mistake. I think he had a moment there where he could have built more turrets and sat back and maybe defended, but to only be building Cyclone Hellion right now is really banking on getting enough Cyclones out. Losing 3 or 4 Cyclones, nah, that's going to be game. DRG's got it. It was a hard situation to scramble out of, but now it's just not possible. The Banshees are going to try and like go across the map, I guess, and do counter damage, but that just means you've got even less units to deal with the Lings coming in. Still no Thors on the way. And interestingly, Banshees run into Queens. They get taken out. DRG is just doing nothing but massing Mutaling. Oh, drags the Widowmine over the SCVs. He's just going to try and click on the turret. Doesn't quite get it. 2 Widowmines say hello with the Mutalisk, and a lot of damage goes down on them. But the Mutas are doing pretty good, man. And the Hellions okay versus Zerglings, but you can see that DRG just got in there before he could get the response together, and a good sneaky surprise from DRG. I don't think this is something Gumiho was thinking about at all. Off the back of that last game where we saw no Spire units, Gumiho was not thinking about this as an option. Now, this is still pretty sloppy trades in terms of head-to-head losses, but there's a 5th base up in the north. You've got 80 drones, 9 more building. He's making melee, carapace, and +2 attack now. So DRG, I mean, the supply is surprisingly close right now, and there is a 4th command center up there, and it's an orbital, so he's dropping mules like crazy. He could transfer workers out. He's doing supply drops. Cyclone count grows. As long as you keep a lot of Widow Mines mixed in, Mutas and Lings and Banes are just bad. So the fact that DRG's not transitioned into like other units, this gives me a lot of hope for Gumiho. I was casting this like he was dead, and I do think DRG had an opportunity to transition off this and finish this game, but I think he might have let it slip away. I really think he might have let this chance slip away. I'm cleaning up the Widow Mines. This is really good. There's no turret even up here. That's how broke Gumiho is right now. He's like, I just hope my Cyclone's good to defend. Bit slow to pull those SCVs away. Banshees over there. It's a lot of Lings. He needs more Widow Mines. More than anything, it's the Widow Mine count that needs to grow for Gumiho. Keeping Hellbat spread at his mineral lines and a few Widow Mines is good, a few turrets is good, but he needs more and more of those Widow Mines. 100%. Oh, the Cyclone's locking onto the Zerglings is pretty bad, and the turrets aren't quite ready. Dude, oh, he's just a bit too late on those turrets. I mean, they're finishing now, but the Lings are taking them out. The other units are going to have to come up. The Banshees do go in and start doing some nice counter damage, but that's a dead 4th command center, and that was the thing that was keeping Gumiho's economy up in an okay position. Now there's a Banshee there, 3 Banshees here. The Queens are going to come though, and taking these Banshees off the board is a very important move for DRG. That Banshee up there will eventually get dealt with by the Spore Crawler. DRG doesn't really care about losing 12 workers here or there, whereas for Gumiho, 12 workers and a 4th command center is an absolute destruction of his economy. A few Cyclones and Hellions not rallying out of the main here. Those Banshees could come back in to attack that base in the near future. It's still just mass Cyclone, and the problem with Cyclones is they're going to lock onto Zerglings, and then they're not useful for like, what is it, 14 seconds, 7 seconds? Apparently it's 4 seconds from the lock-on finishing. So from the Zergling, whatever, dying. Even 4 seconds, though, against Mutas is a long time. Oh, the Cyclones getting some nice locks, but they can't really retreat here. They can't kite the way they wanted to. I mean, the Mutas are taking a lot of damage, but I think they've done well enough. There's not enough Hellbats to defend them on the front. Most of the Cyclones go down to the Mutas. The Hellbats ravage the Lings on the 3rd. Ooh, and 1 turret goes down. Still enough Mutas to take out the turrets. And that's going to be that. Gumi are almost stabilizing. I cannot believe it, but DRG with the surprise Mutas. It's a nice win. So Cyclones cost 150 minerals, 100 gas, and Mutas only cost 100, 100. A Cyclone kicks the shit out of a Mutalisk if it can just lock on and run away. The problem is, a lot of the time, there's Lings running on you at the same time, or your Cyclones are so busy locking on and running away from the Mutas that Banelings are rolling into your mineral lines at the same time. So Cyclones can shut down Mutas if you've got enough of them, but it gets a little bit dicey because Cyclones are 3 supply each, Mutas are only 2, and the Cyclones do cost more. Zerg can build Mutas very quickly, Cyclones have to increment out slowly. So usually you are relying on, ideally you have a Thor or 2 mixed in, which really messes up the Mutas if they clump up. You have Widowmines spread everywhere, which really mess up the Mutas whenever they clump up. And the Cyclones are just like a squad of mobile response on top of that. Alright. How does the sub goal work? People were asking in chat as well. Yeah. The sub goal, you guys actually get to vote on that. If we hit that sub goal today, then it unlocks extra duration on the end of the stream. So you guys get to vote ! sub goal, and you can choose what that will be if that gets unlocked.
The Bezos box.
We will basically do an extra hour and a half of casting of a special fun show. Maybe Florencio Files will cast a bunch of those for an hour. There's a few other options, maybe like Smooth Brain auditions or this or that. And we kind of rotate those. So whenever we unlock one, we take it off the voting list for a while. So get on it. You got me, Pig, says El Inquisitor. Thank you for the 3-month resub, El Inquisitor. I appreciate your Bezos bucks. Thank you, mate. Aliens pumping out 2 at a time here. We got the Starport Tech Lab on the way. So this looks like a pretty chill opening for Gumi. No special sauce just yet. DRG going for the front hatchery. He's going to try and get that creep going forward very early on. Let's see. Aliens do see Ling speed is so slow, man. So many players delay that till like after 4 minutes these days. Ooh, that's a Raven. Ooh-wee. I'm getting excited. I like seeing a Raven. Raven is really cool because it means you don't need to use scans to kill creep tumors. The problem is it's a very expensive unit. It's quite slow. It doesn't do a lot of damage itself. You drop auto turrets on their queens, they just run away. So the Raven is a very cute unit, but if the opponent gets a big enough economy, spreads their creep far enough, it's kind of hard to get any momentum with it. Now these Hellions are looking for some damage. They don't really find much. It is only 2 Hellions that go down, but 1 drone, 3 Zerglings, bit of mining time. Good defense by DRG so far. So once again getting a very quick Roach Horn. You can see he does not feel comfortable playing against Gumiho's mech without that Roach Horn. Understandable. When you know your opponent's a good mech player, that's often the way you do it.
Thanks for the Bezos box.
Swap the barracks back on the reactor and build a tank straight away. So I think Gumiho senses danger. Seeing the Roach Horn in the second gas, he wants to be exceptionally safe for the Hellion opening, but then just going tanks and Banshees behind it. He's just kind of threatening in there, seeing if those Roaches are being committed to. So far, it's 4 Roaches. And DRG is going to try and kind of threaten a push, but not really commit to it. Raven comes in the main, already taking a lot of damage. Well defended by DRG, having those Lings on standby. Now this Raven can always come in and drop auto turrets on that base, so that's probably a prime target. Marine looks like it should be able to maybe kill that Overlord before it gets out of there. Double gas on the natural. So we expect to see 2 more factories in the main pretty quickly. Raven comes in, doesn't end up actually committing to anything just yet, so still just gathering energy. I like the patience on this Raven. If you lose the Raven, it undoes a lot of your hard work. Double Armory again. Now, I'm not sure I agree with the double Armory, because I think DRG is going to go mutas again, possibly. Maybe not, but I don't know, dude. Just double Armory before any more factories to me seems a little wild. I feel like the factories should take priority. It's only a few seconds difference, but we saw what 15, 20 seconds difference between having your units out can make a difference of. And Spire going down, straight to 6 gases. DRG is doing a great job of taking any momentum away from Gumiho. I mean, he's got a few tanks out, a couple of Hellions. He's got his own 3rd command center going up. Morphing into an orbital on location. One upgrades and Magfield. Gumiho still has seen almost no roaches. His alarm bells have got to be ringing. He's building a 4th command center. Engineering bay is on the way, and not a moment too soon, because he needs those turrets so fast, dude. The spy is about to finish now. He doesn't see the 4th base gas yet, which would have been, I think, a really big, like, oh god, there's a lot of tech coming out of my opponent. And he's gonna go for some auto turrets. I mean, he throws down a couple there. He's so desperate to find some damage, he still doesn't see the spire. All he gets is mining time. I mean, this kind of sucks for Gumiho. He's got 3 Hellions diving. Maybe they'll find something, but a quick pull by DRG and 2 drones not really going to matter too much. The Hellions get a few Zerglings at least. I mean, this has got to raise your alarm bells. There's 10 mutas on the way. He hasn't even started the turret. Gumiho not quite getting the reads, and I think he might just die, guys. Because, yeah, he's just building Cyclones. He starts a few turrets. Those mutas are already gathering up, though. And the fact there's only 2 turrets out front, I honestly, I don't have high hopes. It just, to me, feels like he doesn't fully realize what's happening. He now spots it with the Raven and the Banshee. Does he have turrets in the main? He's just started one in the main. Oh, dude, he's in so much trouble. He sees the mutas heading towards his main base. Where are his Cyclones? Why are they out front? Oh, no. If he loses that... Oh, mass repair does come in. Oh, that's so important. If he didn't get that, then he was in big trouble. Almost gets a muta, but not quite. Not yet. Muta's looking for another angle. They're going to come in, just pick away at the edges. Getting chipped at the edges is not the end of the world for Gumiho. Remember, he's got that 4th command center in the main, morphing into an orbital right now. He's also got 1/1 upgrades, and the armor upgrades are especially good versus mutas and zerglings, just for making his units nice and tanky. Now, I would love to see a little bit more Widowmine production. I think he's focusing on Hellions first and foremost so he can defend the zerglings. The Widowmines just got a couple of mutas there, so 4 mutas in total have died. Not bad. These Widowmine traps, especially since there's no Overseers. DRG has to morph an Overseer reactively. But DRG realizes he's not just going to kill you with the mutas this game. He's got a 5th base on the way, double Evo Chamber, Baneling Nest, more mutas and upgrades on the way. Just going to see if he can pick off a depot. Cyclones do get 1 muta. And how many factories? Wow, that's a lot. He's already on 7 factories, 2 reactors, a lot of tac labs, and the Thors are being added in. And that gives me so much more comfort for Gumiho's safety in the long term. Guess what, guys? His 2-2 started before 1-1. And DRG is doing nothing but building Mutaling Bane. I actually think Gumiho is going to win this game, and I think it's way too early to call it by any means, but I'm just, my spidey senses tingle. To me, it feels like we have an inflexible DRG here. I mean, he's got roach speed, but to me, the fact, like, not making range upgrades seems a little bit crazy. Like, I don't know, man. I do think Banelings are going to be great defensively for him against Cyclones and Hellions, but I think they're good for buying time and stopping him jumping on you. I don't think they're great efficiency in the long term. Only gets 1 muta there. Good pullback by Gumiho. Gumiho doesn't have an infestation pit. No hive, no infestation pit. He's got so much money, he should absolutely be unlocking every single type of tech. If he's going to stay on mutas, he should be going double Spire upgrades. Instead, he's just making Mutaling Bane, and he's essentially going all in. Now, let's see if Gumiho can weather it, because it's still a very scary attack, because you need to not just beat the army, you need to defend your worker lines. And I mean, he's pretty well set up to do it, but I'm worried about this worker line just getting killed by those banelings on the left. So DRG is going to try and distract down to the right side. Gumiho should pull back. I don't think he should be moving out to this 4th right now. That command center, yeah, that's like a bit too far out. And the banelings. He reacts. He reacts. He's fine. That's what I was worried about, was those coming in. But you know what? He reacts. He's fine. DRG's tech progression is non-existent. He now, as an afterthought, starts +2 flyer attacks. He's got an amazing income, but he's just going to smash Lingbane Muta into Mech. Okay, so right now, Gumi needs a few more tanks, because tanks are going to be insanely efficient versus the banelings. I think that would be great. Widow Mines would be amazing. He's massing Thors, which I guess does the trick. As long as he keeps Thors spread across these bases, I think I'd love to see a wall off up here. And if he can wall off there as well. I mean, he's starting to build sensor towers. He's spreading out these units all over the shop. Muters coming in on the top left side are going to cause some problems. The Thors, of course, doing damage, as do the Cyclones. No building armor yet. And there's not much to defend these Mutas in the main base. And you know what? If he F2's up here, that means this base might not be too defended, but a big spready of Hellbats is going to do very well. Can they defend the workers, though? There's no ranged splash damage here, and that mineral line is in trouble. Meanwhile, the command center in the main got sniped by the Mutas. That's a big kill, guys. Getting an orbital and 18 SCVs when you've already got such a big economy. And that's what I was saying, is you need some tanks and Widow Mines spread across these bases. Things that'll actually stop the Baneling morph. I mean, they're not going to kill you if you've got Thor Hellbat spread out, right? But where are the Widow Mines in here? Thors are decent versus Mutas, but they're only decent. They're not amazing. Mutas can actually kick the shit out of Thors. Now, look at that. He's threatening the push, but because he sees the Mutas go back, he's got to send these Cyclones and these Thors. I think having some mines in the main would have helped him out, but look at that. Mutas wreck Thors. Mass Repair is going to come on in, but the Thor splash damage is doing effectively nothing right here. And oh my god, I hope that's not my internet. Oh my god, no, it's Steadfast. Oh, thank god it's not me. Oh my god. The Mutas actually do end up fighting in mass repair range for far too long. On the front, the Massling Bane washes into these units, and we will absolutely rewind that battle because this is the end of the series anyway. Gumiho is going to kill DRG. 9 Mutas, a bunch of Roaches and Zerglings coming out. But where were the Ravagers to stop this frontal push? Where was the units that could actually compete in the frontal fight? Just going Mutiling Bane against a 2-2 mech player, double upgrade advantage. I mean, we see the weakness of trying to play Mutiling Bane. Mutiling Bane is so good as a transitionary opening against mech, but to commit to it, we saw Raynor try it against Maru, and we saw how bloody stupid it looks even when the best player in the world's doing it. And that is exactly what DRG did here as well. I'm going to lay the smackdown on it, guys. I think that was a great opening for DRG into a lackluster follow-up. His upgrades were late, his Spire upgrades were late, and he was stubborn as all hell. I think he missed a big opportunity to take the economic lead and momentum, keep his opponent turtled up. Sure, keep trying to roll Banelings in from multiple sides, but do it while just swapping into a traditional army that can fight mech. Let's watch the rest of this game, and that was a beautiful win there by Gumiho. He weathered the storm. He survived the layers of bullshit. Now, I was watching mostly the Muta fight, so let's look at what happened on the front. He has a lot of Banelings. This here, if he rolled even 10 Banes in, those Hellbats are just gone. And if you get rid of most of the Hellbats, you just need enough Zerglings to clean up the rest. But because his army supply is actually not that high, he's going to struggle. Oh, and he rolls in with his Lings, with his Banelings, which is a huge mistake. Oh no, you're meant to clear the Hellbats out, then go in with your Zerglings. So I think he made a bit of a mistake there. And he's building Mutas right now, which makes no sense. In this scenario, you've got to swap into something that's going to beat them in a frontal fight. I just don't think Mutas are a good unit for beating Thors. Especially not with only +1 attack versus 2-2. So this was, yeah, I think he should have been looking to just counterattack with the Zerglings, like clear the Hellbats out, but then send your Lings across to intercept the rally, try and backstab the mineral lines and stuff. I think it was a huge mistake to fight that front on, and to try to remaxing on Mutas was also just a big mistake in my opinion. Swaps into Roaches far too little, far too late. You would have needed those to be Ravagers biling this down on the move forward. And DRG tries to go Mutiling Bane, a bit too stubborn, and Gumiho does very well.